Hey, happy Friday. This is TJ Murphy, and welcome to another episode of Adventurous Entrepreneurs. My guest today is Wil Wize Otero. Wize is a Brooklyn boy who has turned his tragedies into motivation to help as many people as possible. Founder of Real Wize Productions and the host of the Stuck in My Mind podcast, he helps people who want to start a podcast but don't know where or how to start, which is exactly what we get into in today's episode. Just a few of the golden takeaways Wize shares are his lessons learned from years of experience on how to start a podcast and scale it, the best podcasting tools out there right now, and tips for making your podcast successful no matter what. So without further ado, this is me and Wize talking all things podcasts. Welcome to the Adventurous Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, TJ Murphy. Since quitting my corporate 9-to-5 and starting a business while backpacking through Asia back in early 2017, I've had the privilege of learning from some incredibly adventurous entrepreneurs. Through these conversations and my own journey, I've learned that much like in life, entrepreneurship is an adventure. On this podcast, I explore the journeys of top-performing leaders in their fields. These wide-ranging conversations include tactical business advice, how I built this insights, lessons in leadership, life hacks, travel stories, favorite hobbies, and insights into living a purposeful and joy-filled life. Adventures await us, so let's dive in. Hey, Wize, welcome to Adventurous Entrepreneurs.
What's going on, TJ? Thanks for having me on, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, man. No, I appreciate you being here. I've been stoked and really excited that we can make this happen. I had a blast joining you on the Stuck in My Mind podcast last week, which to all of you guys and gals listening, you should go check it out if you're looking for a dope new podcast to listen to. Wize does an incredible job of diving into the experiences and perspectives of inspiring people out to have fun and enjoy life. So actually, let's start there, man. Give us a little plug on what the podcast is all about.
Well, so Stuck in My Mind is just my baby. It's just a way of me being able to have some great conversations with people and at the same time help encourage other people through whatever the situations they're going through, because everybody has a story to share and you never know when somebody might have to hear a certain story. It's crazy like that. It's funny like that sometimes the right episode lands in the right person's hands and the impact you can have on their life is just amazing.
Yeah, man. You never know who's listening, and you can help just one person, impact one person's life. It's worth it.
Oh, definitely. I love what I do. This is if you would have told me this 4 years ago that I would be doing this, I wouldn't have said no. This just wasn't in. I had wanted to start a podcast, but to tell you that I was going to be where I'm at now, it's.
Yeah, you've done over what, like 180 episodes now?
Well, my audio, I'm at 177.
Nice.
But then I also done a lot of video.
Yep.
I've converted to doing live shows as well. So I have a lot of content.
It was a fun experience. We did my first live interview last week, and Wize does an excellent job. So check that out. But going to your comment there, like you wouldn't have imagined that you'd be a podcaster 3 years ago. I'd love to dive into the journey a little bit. Can you share just some highlights or a little bit about your story before you stepped outside of your comfort zone and decided to start a podcast?
So it's funny because we at 2019, I had visions of starting a podcast, and I was going to start one with a friend, and we was going to start a sports podcast. And it's funny that I'm nowhere near my podcast is nothing close to sports.
Yep.
And so him and his girl ended up getting pregnant. So that kind of killed that podcast. And I had the equipment lying around for over a year. And the pandemic hits. I get furloughed from my job in March of 2020. And I had already been procrastinating. I would record, listen to it, and then delete it. Record, listen to it, and then delete it.
Yeah.
Until finally one day I'm sitting here and I'm on the phone with my nephew. We're just having a conversation. And I decide just, you know what, just press record and record whatever we're going to talk about or whatever. and that was just the introduction. It was like a 5-minute introduction, and that's how I started. I took that 5-minute introduction. He was like, "No, you can't release it. You can't release it." I'm like, "No, I need to release it because I need people to see
Get
where."
something out there.
Well, I need them to see because he's like, let's wait till we polish, wait till we're better at it. And I'm like, nah, because I want people to see that where we come from. I want them to notice the quality where we started at to where we're at now, and they can see that, hey, this dude has worked hard. He's look at his quality at the beginning, first few episodes where he had really no understanding of what he was doing to where I'm at now, and it's night and day.
Yeah. And it's such a good lesson too, because in anything, in business, in life, in podcasting, you don't want to let perfect get in the way of good. Like, you've got to put stuff out there. You've got to do the work and be okay with it not being perfect in order to improve and learn and grow. And man, so many people just get stuck in trying to make it perfect and never do it.
You
Never
never
do what they set out to do.
because you're never going to get perfect. You're never going to get
No
perfect.
such thing. Yeah.
There's always something that's going to pop up, and you just got to flow with it. There's times you're going to forget to press record. There's going to be times where your audio is sounding all crazy. Your headphones are not working. Something's going to happen. And when it does, I just laugh it off and just continue and just enjoy the moment. Just have it's people enjoy when you can be yourself and they can see that, hey, look, they make mistakes too.
Yeah, it's real.
Yeah, it's real.
Relatable.
That's what people enjoy, is the authenticity of what I do, because I'm just myself. And when I have my guest on, I want them to be themselves, because people can tell when you're just trying to sell them something. So I rather have them come on and just talk about themselves. And yeah, they're here to promote whatever they're going to promote. But at the same time, I want people to realize that these are real people and these are regular people that just like them. They're just doing some amazing things.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. So what else are you focused on besides the podcast? Here we're in February 2023. What has Wize's focus right now?
It's great because me and a bunch of fellow podcasters, when I first started podcasting in 2020, we 2020 and 2021, we all got together and we held this event. It was like 4-day event where a bunch of independent podcasters just came together and put something together, and we've did it 2020 and 2021, and kind of we did something last year, but it was more for our focus on women in podcasting.
Yeah.
So now we're getting back to it. So hopefully sometime in October, a bunch of us independent podcasters are going to get together and put together just kind of like a kind of it's like a telethon sort of, because everybody comes on and they just put their shows up there. They just basically do an episode of their show.
Okay. That's awesome, man. So, I mean, I know you're all about community. That's a community that you're building right there, the podcast community. Do you have any other projects that you're currently working on or that you've recently worked on to help give back to your community?
To give back to, oh man, I always try to give back to, even when it's sometimes when people, to me, I just enjoy helping people. So whenever a new podcast or someone that's starting out fresh hits me up, sends me a message, and they go like, hey, can I have a second of your time? If I have this moment at that time, yeah, I'm more than willing to sit down and talk to anybody, because I know the struggles I went through when I first started, and I didn't really have anyone. So if I'm able to give back to the podcasting community by sharing any of the knowledge that I have, I just always try, man. There's no question that I want them to succeed as much as I want myself to succeed.
Yeah, man. I respect that tremendously. I know it takes a lot of courage to reach out to someone and ask for guidance, ask for help. And that was something that I should have learned how to do and been more comfortable with early on. So just like you, whenever somebody reaches out, whether they're thinking about starting a business or they're overwhelmed about marketing their business, I try to give people as much of my time and value as I can, because lending those hands down and helping people out where they're at today can help propel them to great things going forward. And what goes around comes around. So it's important to give yourself and give your skills and the value that you put out into the world wherever you can.
And it's funny because prior to what I'm doing now, I wasn't in media. I wasn't into editing audio, video, creating graphic, none of that. I wasn't into any of that. And so once I started doing my podcast, I started immersing myself in all those things, doing the audio, video, and building those skills. And I found the way to monetize myself before I found the way to monetize my podcast.
Yep. And
people, that the first thing they're like, oh, I need to get my podcast. I got to get sponsors. Me, I was able to learn skills to help me make money.
Yeah.
I was able to learn skills that nobody wants to edit. Nobody wants to do video editing. Nobody wants to do audio editing. I enjoy it. And so why not make a few bucks doing it? And so I kind of monetized myself before I monetized my podcast.
Yeah. And I think that's brilliant. So many people get caught up in all of the details, the numbers, the sponsorship. Yeah. How can I make this a revenue generating entity? And the reality is there's a lot of podcasts out there in the world. Yeah. A lot of people vying for.
Well, there's over 250. There's over 250 active, 250,000 active podcasts.
Yeah.
So there is a lot, but there isn't a lot.
Yeah, it's still early on for sure. I don't think podcast has reached the peak by any stretch. There's a lot more room to grow.
It's the new media. Everybody's realizing that podcast is a way, as advertisers, businesses, they're all realizing that people are consuming so many podcasts right now, and they want to figure out how can they get a piece of the pie. And it's for us independent podcasters, it's being consistent, is being able to show that you're here for the long haul, just not a hot flash and then you're out.
Yeah, for sure. And that's a good segue, because I wanted to talk to you about consistency, because in podcasting, that's pretty much the number one thing that you need to do, is you need to be consistent. And the same applies to business. So do you have any habits or practices, things that help you to continue to grow your podcast and be consistent, and ultimately what helps keep you going?
Believe it or not, is the networking, because I see what my fellow podcasters are doing, and it's not that I'm competing with them, but they're inspiring me. Yeah. So seeing them do the amazing things that they're doing is like making me feel like, man, he's dope, but I'm just as dope. I can do what he's doing. I can get to where he's doing. And you don't necessarily have to copy what they're doing. Find your style. Find it's like everybody's like, oh, I don't know who I want to be like. I don't know if I want to be like this person. No, be yourself. Find what fits you. Who you are. And it took me a minute to figure out what I wanted to do with my podcast and what kind of podcast I really wanted it to be. But once I figured it out, it's just been like a snowball effect.
Yeah. That's such a good point. I mean, it's so easy to get caught up with social media the way it is today in another person's game. You comparing yourself to somebody's best version, what they're putting out there, whether that's a podcaster you admire, a business person you admire, an athlete, whatever it is, you're only seeing the best. And it's so easy to get caught up in this.
You're not seeing the work. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not seeing all the work that goes into it, and you don't need to play their game. You need to
No,
play your game.
your
And like
game,
you said,
absolutely.
being authentically you and finding what you are passionate about and what you can speak to and what other people are going to be interested in. Because if you're trying to be someone else, people sniff that out a mile away, and
Yeah,
nobody's tuning
nobody
in
wants.
for that.
Nah,
Is there
nah.
anything that you would say has like helped you, or that you would give people advice on in terms of figuring out how to be authentic and be themselves?
Well, you can't. There's no trying to be authentic. It's just being you. It's just
Good for
basically
you.
being yourself.
Yeah.
For me, it's when I first started. Of course, I was green. I didn't. I was still learning stuff. I was still figuring out what exactly I wanted to do with my podcast, and as time went on, you learn. You just learn. It's you can't come in and think that you're gonna be Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan's been doing this for 25 years or whatever, how long he's been doing it. He's been doing it forever.
Nope, nobody's catching Joe
Yeah,
Rogan
no,
anytime soon.
he's just, but he's been consistent, but he's built that audience. You're not gonna just come out and get 10,000 downloads your first week. It's not gonna happen unless you're a celebrity, or you have a name, or you have a big social media following and they support all you do. So you need to be, if you're really serious about this, you need to be in it for the long haul. You need to realize it's going to take some time for you to build up what you want, and and during that time you get to discover who you are. You get to play around with what you want your show to be about, and it's been great. Like I've in just this year alone, like the past year alone, I've already been tweaking the show differently because of where I want it to go and what I want to do with it. But that's just the evolution of who I am and where I'm taking the show to.
Yeah. So I like this track that we're on because, as you said, there is so much room for podcasts to grow. They're just continuing to gain in popularity. And there's a lot of people that see that opportunity and are
Yes.
thinking about starting podcasts. So I'd love to kind of dive into the details a little bit. What are your kind of lessons learned from starting your own podcast? Like, what do people need to do in order to get started? Like, what's the bare minimum when it comes
The
to
bare
equipment and,
minimum.
just doing it? Well, yeah,
The
because
bare
so many
minimum.
people get caught
The
up in the
phone.
research of,
Right
hey,
now,
I gotta
with
have
the
the
way
best thing.
with the way your phone is, you have your own podcast studio in your phone.
Yeah.
Your phone does it every. If you want to do video podcasts, some of these cameras have amazing cameras. So it's you don't necessarily need to spend a lot of money on equipment. Like my first setup was $160.
Yeah.
It was the mic, my mixer, headphones, and an adapter to plug in the mixer to my laptop. That's it. But now with the way these phones are, you can do some of the platforms actually allow you to record from an app on your phone.
Yeah.
So you can actually do a podcast from your phone.
Yeah. I mean, it really isn't all that complicated. I'd say the one thing that's worth investing in is a quality mic,
Yes.
or,
Eventually,
you can get good quality just from like AirPods, decent,
yeah.
decent
Listen,
earbuds.
I don't call them cheap mics.
Yeah.
I don't. I say inexpensive mics. Because cheap to me is like, is gonna, but there are some inexpensive mics that are great quality.
Good value for money.
Rode has a $99 mic. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That sounds great. Yeah, my mic.
Rode has good stuff. I've got the Blue Yeti or whatever. This is only like $100 and the quality's great.
And it's up to like me. I decided I wanted to invest into better equipment, but that's because I love podcasting.
Yeah.
And for me, I just wanted to make sure I wanted to give my audience the best quality possible because of what they're giving me, which is time. And that's something very precious because they don't get that time back. They get it back in the form of that they're getting some great content, but I just want to make sure that my sound is crisp, that my video is nice and clear. it's the least I can do, because again, time is very precious.
Yeah.
And so
I don't want to waste anyone's time.
I don't know. And I want to make sure that when they are watching me, that they're like, oh man, that video is nice and clear. His audio is great. Thanks. I can hear it. So and people appreciate that. People realize, like, hey, I guess was it you? So like someone told me they noticed the difference in my audio when I first started to my audio now.
Hmm.
And it's because I invested in myself.
Yeah.
I
You knew you were going to be in it for the long haul.
Yeah,
We're going to be consistent.
I found my passion. I was 44 years old when I started my podcast, and I have a great paying job, make good money. But to say that I was truly happy doing my job is not, because it's a job. I didn't really truly know my purpose. And so when I started podcasting and I started seeing the impact that I was having on one person's life, another person's life here, when people started reaching back to me and telling me, that episode I listened to, I needed that. Thank you. I was on the fence about starting a business, listening to you guys talk. I appreciate that. Or getting the amazing Bob Doyle have the team that he's using to promote, to get him some podcast, actually reach out and say, hey, Bob Doyle would like to be a guest on your show. To me, I'm a big Bob Doyle's fan. I love The Secret. I'm a big follower of The Secret. I've seen the documentary. I read the book. I watched Bob Doyle's show on Facebook. And to have someone like him actually reach out and want to be on my show, that to me is like amazing. That's just one of those feelings where you're like, all right, I'm here.
Yo, I'm doing something right here.
I'm here now. Like, I'm here. People are noticing me. People are realizing that I am creating some great content, that I am putting out some content that you can learn from, and they want to be a part of that. And I'm like, wow. This is like, no, I wish people could feel how I feel when I'm doing this. There's no other feeling like this. And you've caught the bug too, when you talked about how when you started podcasting, you're like, you didn't realize how much you would really enjoy doing this. Like, you didn't realize like this would be like, oh man, this is dope. This is like, it's just one of those feelings that you just wish everyone could experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's because I love having these conversations anyway.
Yeah.
So we're just doing what I would do naturally, but we're recording it and sharing it with the world so that others can take value from it and be entertained by it. And that's a great thing, man. It's great. Yeah, I love podcasts. I consume a lot of podcasts myself. So it's cool to be able to see how.
Anytime you can serve others. Listen, anytime you can serve others and help others, you can't go wrong with that.
Definitely not, man. So diving in again to people that are interested in starting a podcast. I know when I started mine, I had no idea how like production works. I had no idea how distribution works. Like what are some easy entry points for people? Like what would you recommend to somebody who's like, hey, I don't have the skills, but I want to start a podcast. How can I get my podcast onto these platforms?
All right. So everybody has different answers to this. People will say, go to Anchor. To me, that's a mistake. Because they say, oh, Anchor is free. All right, I get it. Anchor is free. But you won't own your content. Mm-hmm. They have first right to use your content. No one should have first right to use your content, especially content you work hard to create. So free is not necessarily best.
No.
But do your research. Look at the platforms out there. There's some great platforms. Lispin. I use Podbean personally. You got Buzzsprout. You have different ones that are really good. But do your research. Like, if you seriously want to know what platform you should use, ask. That's one thing I like you said, I wish I would have learned earlier, was to ask questions. Is whenever you would connect with a podcaster, I should have asked questions instead of trying to go at it myself. but it's to me, I always suggest do your research, find out what platform, where, like my Podbean is awesome because they offer the opportunity. They put you on as many platforms as possible. Because once you get on Apple, you get on 5 different platforms already. Yep. That gets distributed through Apple. When you get on Spotify, you get on a bunch of different platforms through Spotify. So when you start doing your work, you can actually find out, hey, they like with Podbean, I couldn't speak for other ones, but through Podbean, they show you how to actually share your RSS feed to these other platforms.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know what an RSS feed was.
Me either.
I didn't know any of this stuff. I didn't know I had to put a thumbnail. I didn't know I had to put a description. All this I learned as I went on. I didn't even put proper titles. I didn't do anything. SEOs, hashtags. Nothing. I was just uploading for like my first 20 episodes. Eventually I went back and started titling stuff and started putting thumbnails and stuff. But even with those, you could tell when I first started with those and then to where I'm at now. But it's do your research. Basically, to me, is really find out what platform really grabs your attention, which platform is like one is doing what you want to do with your podcast.
Yeah, 100%. And for people that, and you may not have like a go-to recommendation here, but I'm going to ask anyway. For people that don't want to handle the editing and the production and creating show art and all that kind of stuff and have the budget for it, are there any services that you recommend or have seen people use that, basically you record it and you can hand it off to them and they'll handle the production and distribution from that point?
So it's crazy because I started my own production company because of that, because of people not wanting to do those services. People not wanting to do those.
Yep.
And so it again, it's up to you. There's so many different ways. There's so many different people out there. There's amazing people that can do editing. You go to Fiverr was my best friend at one point. I like when I first started. My beginning logos and my beginning intro and all that, I got it off of Fiverr.
Yeah.
And then once I started learning about Canva, learning about Audacity, learning about all these other programs, I kind of like, okay, I cut the middleman out and started doing it myself. And then I just started developing the skill towards it. It was just, but there's so many options out there.
Do some Googling, find something. But I didn't realize, so you do handle production for clients as well.
Mm-hmm. Actually,
so people can reach out to Wize.
Yeah, you can reach out to me and we can sit down and we could discuss it. And I'm not in it to make. I'm like everybody's in it to make money, but
well, yeah,
you got to pay the bills, but I'm not. There's some like I've seen some people charge some ridiculous prices. And I'm like, that's like, that's like crazy. I'm not gonna pay that. I'd rather just do it myself.
Yeah.
But then you get people.
There's different structures to it, like per episode, kind of a flat monthly fee. Mm-hmm. Lots of different options.
There's different, there's different ones. Me personally, I do it by the episode. So.
Right on, man. So where do you see the future of podcasts going in the next, I don't know, we'll say 5-ish years? Do you have any predictions or
it's gonna be
trends that you're seeing?
It's gonna be, especially now with Spotify going to video. Mm-hmm. YouTube is starting to find a way to cater more to podcasts. Just finding and now every TV show, has a podcast now. Every sports talk show has a podcast. Everybody's transitioning, calling that stuff a podcast, even though they might just be a regular show. But it's gonna be huge, man. You know what it is that a lot of podcasters are independent. So we're in the streets, we're in the communities, we're everywhere. So we're not pushing any agendas. We're not out here pushing agendas that mainstream media have or whoever else might have. We're here talking about what is going on really in our communities.
Yeah, 100%. And to anyone else thinking about starting a podcast, one thing we didn't touch on is just like the ways that you can do it. There's lots of different platforms. Like, trying to think of some. Riverside FM is one I've heard. We're having this podcast right now through Zoom.
Yeah.
Zoom is like the easiest way to do it. It's not going to have the highest quality per se, but very good for getting
Zoom,
started.
I started with Zoom.
Yep.
I'm on StreamYard now.
StreamYard is another big one.
And with me, StreamYard has made production life so much easier because I can upload my intros, my outros, any promos that I want to play. It's right there at on a click, and I can play it. And so that kind of solves the issue with me having to edit and insert anything. But it's with it's like Riverside is great, Ecamm, and okay, so there's this thing. A podcast cannot be video. That's nonsense. It's not just strictly audio. I do have an audio podcast. I do have an audio version of my podcast, but I also have my video version of it.
Yep. Same.
So all I do is
you might as well. Like,
yeah, when I use
a video dominated world.
Yeah. So when I use my video, when I use my video, I just take the audio and insert into my audio feed.
Yep.
It's anytime you can create content and listen, I didn't at first, when I first started, I didn't use any video. I didn't do video whatsoever. And then in 2021, I had a guest come on and they were like, do you do video? I'm like, no, not yet. No, I don't do it just yet. And they're like, okay. Then again, they asked me the same question just a couple of seconds later. Do you do video? I'm like, no. But the funny thing was I was already using StreamYard to record the audio. I was recording the audio. So all it took was for me to just press record and I record the video. And so when the third time he said, I said, yes, I do video now. Because I understood what he was trying to explain to me, that this is some more content you can repurpose.
Yeah, it's just a wider reach.
Yeah, it's great to have audio, but now you have video as well. Now you don't have to create. I don't need to use headlines to create videograms for my audio now, because now I have the video for it.
Yeah. And, some people don't listen to just audio podcasts. So putting it on YouTube, creating content, smaller bite-sized pieced content, 60 seconds, using them in reels, on Instagram, on Facebook, creating stories. There's so much you can repurpose from an episode. So one episode can turn into 100 pieces of content if you wanted to.
Listen, like I'm StreamYard is amazing now, because now when you finish an episode, right, and you go back into that to view that video, now you can repurpose it. You can cut clips out and actually publish to YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels directly from StreamYard.
Yeah.
So now I don't have to go take out a snippet. I don't have to go through the video and put it on, and because I use DaVinci Resolve to edit video, I don't have to download the video and put it in there and cut out whatever section I want to use. I can actually cut it right there in StreamYard and ship it right to YouTube Shorts and Reels.
Saves countless hours over the course of your podcast lifetime.
Oh, it saves you so much time. And for that, I'm able to clip different episodes and then publish them when I want to. So now I can probably record, I can probably chop up 5 videos and now I have content for 5 days.
Yep. All right. A little bit of a segue away from podcasting.
Okay.
It's been good. I think this is going to be really valuable for people that are thinking about starting a podcast. But if you could sum up your most impactful life lesson to 30 seconds, what would that be? And it could be a piece of advice you've received, along your journey.
Regardless of what you go through in life, man, you can always pick yourself back up, man. And the reason I say this is, all right, so at 31, I was widowed. My wife passed away in a car accident, and I was devastated. I was lost for quite some time, and I was able to turn my life around and pick myself up, get remarried, and be able to being able to share my story and being able to show people, listen, regardless of what you go through in life, because it was after I lost my wife, it was like one tragedy after another, and after another. And for me, it was, I didn't understand why God hated me. And he didn't. It was just
of course
me.
not.
It was just me. And so when I came to realize I'm so angry over something that I had no control over, that I started realizing, like, this is not my path. This is not what I'm supposed to do. This is truly not where I'm meant to be. And so once I got my life back together, started working, my wife that I'm with now came into my life. And it just goes to show you, man, we all go through rough times in our lives. It's how you pick yourself up. Is not being afraid to seek the help that you need.
Yeah,
because it's not easy. Just the other day, man, a friend of mine lost his 21-year-old son. How do you console someone like that? How do you all you can do is say my condolences to you. There's no words you can tell them. You just have to be there and support them.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I just try to help us. I just want to support people. I want to help people get through whatever they're getting through. Because if I didn't have the support that I had, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. So being able to have the people that support you and finally be able to, because it's crazy, because I come from a generation where we're not supposed to show emotions. We're not supposed to show that
weakness.
Yeah. We're not supposed that a weakness, when all actuality is not that you're weak. It's life. It's life. Life beats people up.
Yeah.
So it's okay for you to go ask for help. It's okay for you to seek that help, to not be afraid. For many years, it was like, oh man, because even from where I'm from, like, if you tell anybody you're going to therapy, they make fun of you.
What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Yeah. They make fun of it. They make fun of you. And it shouldn't be that way, because people, you don't know.
Everyone deserves therapy. That's a gift to yourself.
Yeah, it is. It is. So for me, it's just, I just want to help, man. I just want to make a difference, want to make an impact. And so anywhere I can do it, any way I can do it, I just try to do my best, man. I just try to live a meaningful, purposeful life.
Yeah. And that's, in my mind anyway, that is our purpose here on this planet, is to help others, to be of service to each other, to keep this thing called the human race going and thriving as best we can. And we all go through hard times, and no matter what, you're going to have moments of grief, deep in really impactful moments of grief in your life. We're all going to lose someone. We're all going to fail at something at one time or another. And as you said, being able to ask and seek out the help you need is key there. But then on the flip side of that, as a bystander, as a friend, as a family member to someone who is going through struggles, just being there, loving and caring for the people around you, and not trying to solve their problems because they have to do that work themselves, but giving them just your presence, just somebody to talk to if they're looking for that, or just sitting there and being there for them.
Just listen. Yeah.
Tough times, just listen.
Sometimes you just gotta listen. Sometimes you just gotta listen to them and let them get it off their chest.
Yeah, 100%. Man, I'm inspired by you. So that's a good question. Who are you inspired by? Who do you look to for inspiration?
Oh, man, my mom.
Yeah.
She raised 6 of us.
Wow.
And then she raised some of her grandkids as well. And she worked hard. She instilled in us that she showed me that regardless of how whatever life throws at you, you always treat people with the utmost respect, because you never know what they might be going through. You never. She's always and she's always been that kind of person that her door has always been open to anyone. Like if a family member was coming from Puerto Rico and they didn't have some place to stay, her door was open.
Yeah.
If my brothers had a friend who got kicked out of his house and he was homeless, they had a couch in my house. So she showed me my empathy and my kindness comes from her. So she's the one who inspires me to do what I do.
She sounds like an amazing woman. Very, very similar to some of the things that I learned from my mom. I mean, same deal. Open door on Christmas, on Thanksgiving. We would have people at our table that maybe acquaintances, but didn't have anywhere else to be. And my mom would open her home to anyone and bring them in and feed them and show them love and kindness. And I definitely always saw that and admired my mom for that, even at a young age. And it's something that made a big impact on my life.
It definitely has changed. She's made me the people person that I am because of her. Because it didn't matter to her race, creed, none of that. It didn't matter to her. She saw the person. She saw the human being. And so that's how I look at everyone. That's that vision that I have of people is from her.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, as we kind of move things toward wrapping up here, I have a choose your own adventure question for you. So you can pick which one you'd like to answer, or both if you so desire. But what's your favorite place you visited in the past 5 years, or what is a recent adventure
Aruba.
that you went on?
Aruba? That's hand down Aruba.
Oh, that's on my bucket list, man.
Oh, bro, you have to take the wife there. You have to.
Yeah,
you have
to. I think I'm gonna do that.
Oh, bro, it is an amazing experience because the people down there are so beautiful.
Yeah,
and I mean, just overall, just the energy, everyone over there is so kind. It was a great experience. It was a great experience to be able to go to Aruba and meet people in Aruba, and so I'm looking forward to my next trip back.
You going back? Yeah. What did you do there when you were there the first time?
You know what? We just spent time. We went. They have the resort we stood at has their own private island, so we actually went to the private island. I did sort of a little blog there while I was walking through the island, and which I actually should release, edit and release it. But we enjoyed the beach. We enjoyed shopping. We enjoyed eating.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's the food like in Aruba?
Amazing. Some great food.
What was a favorite meal?
I don't know. I didn't really have a favorite
Or
meal.
just like type? What I don't even know like what kind of
Well,
cuisine.
because
Is it a lot of seafood? A
they
lot
have all
of
different types. It's like
yeah.
so they have all different types because you gotta understand Aruba was influenced by American, Spanish, Dutch, and Portuguese culture. So it has an infusion of all that in
Yeah,
it.
the melting pot.
Yeah, it's just it's a great because it's funny because you walk by and you hear an Arubian speaking Spanish,
Mm-hmm.
and then next thing you walk by and then you hear another Aruban speaking Dutch, or you hear one speaking English, and you be like, oh man, because they learn 4 languages.
Yeah, it's
I'm like,
impressive.
man, I only know 2.
I only know one. Man, I've been trying to get myself to learn Spanish. I need to just commit and be consistent. My wife is a fluent Spanish speaker. She grew up in Mexico City, so
Oh yeah,
need
so
to need to do it.
yeah.
Been on my list for far too long. Man, Wise, what ask, challenge, or parting advice do you have for people listening before we wrap things up?
If you seriously want to do podcasting, networking, I tell everyone networking is key because you have to go, yeah, you have to have guests on your show, but you also have to go out and put yourself out there. You have to go out and make yourself known. You have to go out and appear in other podcasts, like I'm here, like I'm appearing here,
Yeah,
and go on and do other shows, and just so for those who want to start a podcast and are just making excuses, just press record.
yeah.
Just press
Just get
record.
started.
Yeah,
Don't
just
don't
press
worry
record.
about how bad it is. It's probably going to be
No,
terrible the first
it's gonna
few, but
suck. It's gonna suck. It is gonna suck, but just keep doing it.
just
Just
keep
keep
doing
doing
it.
it. It's just, if anything, it's repetition. It's being consistent. It's just, but you have to start. So you just press record, and then for all you other guys out there that have been doing it for a year and feel stuck, find a mentor, find a coach,
Mhm.
find someone that's doing what you want to do,
Yeah, where you want to be.
and then
Ask for help.
don't be afraid to ask because you never know.
Yeah,
You'd be surprised. A lot of coaches and mentors, they want to help people.
it's human nature. We genuinely as humans are just hardwired to want to help people for
Mm,
most of us anyway.
For
Not
most,
everybody, but
but
yeah.
for the most part, in the podcasting community, I haven't had an issue with people not wanting to share. So
It
that's
is
why
it's very relational.
yeah. So that's why I don't have an issue sharing with anyone or helping anyone because that's not the community I've come into. The community I've come to has been nothing but a welcoming and open arms and wanting to share. So
Yeah. Yeah. And I will just echo the advice you gave about getting on other podcasts, because that is not only a great way to promote your podcast and get more exposure, but it's very valuable in learning how other people
they
structure
structure.
their interviews, how things are done. You're going to learn a lot just by being on somebody's podcast about how you can apply that and launch your own. So
Yeah. Listen, it's you're always, it's okay to watch and learn and sort of make things your own. Like I have no structure to my show sometimes. I do kind of sort of, but I have really no structure on it because that's how I want it to be. I just want people to come on and, like I was telling you before, I've had guests send me lists of questions they want me to ask.
mhm.
And then I look at the list of questions and go, yep, that's not happening. Because I'm gonna ask questions, yes, but I'm gonna ask questions that I want to know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to be, I don't want it to sound like you are reading off a script.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I used to have everything super well thought out, all my questions all scripted. I would send guests the questions in advance. And after like 5 of those, I realized that's just not the best way. It was probably helpful in the beginning because
It
I didn't know what I
was,
was doing, but now it's a lot
but
more like I
you
have
know,
questions, I do research, but it's very more
but
just flowing
it's more
where the
genuine. It's more,
conversation
yeah,
goes.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's you really wanting to know the answers to the questions that you're asking. So it's okay at the beginning if you're doing that, but then start making it your own. Then once
Yeah.
you start getting
Push
into it,
yourself outside
yes,
of the
you,
comfort zone. Yeah.
and that's what it is. That's key. Is you have to make yourself uncomfortable, regardless of whatever it is you want to do. You have to make yourself uncomfortable because that's where you thrive at. Is where
That's where
when you
growth happens.
yeah, that's where you like, oh, okay, this is what this feels like. And you go like, all right, so now I try to make I try to make myself uncomfortable as much as possible.
Every day, try to do something that makes you uncomfortable. That means you're growing consistently. And that
Yeah.
every day, 365 days, 1 year from now, that momentum creates some serious impact in anything.
It does. It does. I am in like these last 2 months. So in December, I was probably at 8,000 total downloads, whatever it was. But then I started using these proper tools and started really promoting my show and stuff like that. And I see the difference. I've seen my reach go further now because of things that I learned last year.
Yeah.
Tools that people, when I went to Podfest last year, were telling you like you need to use this, you need to do that. And so when I started implementing those things into my show, big change, big difference.
And it doesn't have to be all at once.
Yep.
Take the things you learn, apply them a little bit at a time, take action, and it all pays off in the long run. So Wize, this has been great, man. Where can people find you? I know a lot of people are going to be interested in checking out the podcast, socials.
You can find me at Stuck in My Mind podcast on all major platforms. You can find my YouTube channel, Stuck in My Mind podcast. You can check out the production company at www.realwizeproductions.com. Check out another YouTube channel we have is Real Wize TV.
There's more, and we'll put it all in the show notes for everyone listening. Yeah, you're doing a lot of stuff, man.
I have another show that I do with my nephew called Bobby J and Wize El Jefe, which is actually on the BS3 network, which is a Roku channel. Yeah, cool. And then me and my partner Cole Johnson, we have a show called Mentality that we're just so proud of that show. We've just released episode number 4, and just the topics that we focus on is talking about men's mental health and their mentality and stuff like that. So it's a platform that I'm very proud of and just excited to see that grow.
Man, I love that. I'm going to be checking that out, and I love the name Mentality.
Yeah, it's capital EMEN and then mentality after it. So yeah. It's a great show.
Such an important topic. All you men listening, it's not a weakness to cry, to open up, to talk to people, to go to therapy. We all got to work on ourselves, and we're all going through hard times, and it's better when you're able to talk about it and work through things.
You gotta look at even Twitch he's a prime example. It's like, you think someone who's successful, has a beautiful wife, has beautiful kids, why would he take his life? You don't know what anyone is going through. So don't be afraid to seek that help if you need it. Anyone out there, if you truly do need someone, you just want somebody to vent to, man, you can shoot me a DM, whatever. I'll listen.
Yeah.
I rather you talk to me and let it out and then the alternative. So
yeah, I respect that. And I offer the same to anyone listening. And I just want to say, Wize, thank you so much, man. This has been a great conversation. I've learned a lot about how I wish I had done things differently with my podcast. So I know there's going to be tons of valuable tidbits, and anybody that's interested in starting a podcast, I think I can speak for you here. Reach out to Wize. He is somebody that genuinely cares and can help you. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We'll have to have you on again. I think there's more we could dive into. So
I love podcasts, and I love being a guest on podcasts even more.
It's so fun.
Oh, it's less work.
It is. You just show up.
I just come, show up and record.
Show up, be real, be you.
That's
all
it.
About, man.
I don't have to worry about editing. I don't have to do any of that other stuff. I can just be me.
Awesome. Well, until next time, appreciate you.
Thank you, brother.
To all of our Adventurous listeners, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Please be sure to subscribe, download, and share this on social media or with someone you know will get some value from it. Leaving a review goes a long way in helping people find the show, and I personally appreciate reading them when they come in. So please go drop one if you have the time. We'll see you all next week, and remember, whether we're talking about business or the things that bring us joy outside of work, life is meant for exploring. So go out there and live it one adventure at a time.